Recently, wide receiver Brandin Cooks of the Los Angeles Rams tweeted out, "Free me." And I understand right now in this climate where there's not a lot of sports going on, a statement like that could be something that, you kind of grab at and reach at, right? However, if you look at what's been going on with the Rams lately and you look at the way they've been trying to get freedom in their cap, this could be something that actually means something. And today, we're going to just kind of think about it a little bit and figure out what's going on and what's the meaning behind the words, "free me." Let's talk about it. So when Brandin Cooks was coming out of Oregon State, he was one of the most electrifying talents in the draft. I mean, he was shifty, he was elusive, he was quick. This boy had burners and afterburners in the open field. As a Saints fan, I was elated to have such a weapon drafted. We picked him up with the 20th pick in the first round of that epic 2014 class. It took him some time to get going a little bit, but once he did, he lit up the dome. He had 2 straight 1,100-yard seasons after his rookie year. He was never really considered a wide receiver one in New Orleans, and as productive as he was, when Michael Thomas arrived, there seemed to be a clear difference between production and dominance. New Orleans also could never really capitalize on the productivity. The offense was dominant, crazy good. However, the defense was horrible, and New Orleans just seemed to fall further behind the NFL elite at the time. Cooks also had a real problem getting the ball enough for himself in that offense. That offense featured 3 young, talented receivers: Brandin Cooks, a young Willie Snead, and the rookie Michael Thomas. In 2016, the Saints defense was so horrible, but in 2017, that draft would change that team a little bit and his fortunes for the next 3 seasons. If Cooks were a little bit more patient, he could have been a part of a young and epic wide receiving corps. But often, he would have problems with ball distribution, and then his attitude at one point just made him a candidate to be shipped off, and soon he was, to the New England Patriots. This move proved to be less than spectacular for Cooks and for the Saints. For one, they haven't been able to find a wide receiver outside of Michael Thomas with his elite ability, and they just kind of found some relief by signing Emmanuel Sanders. He hasn't really found a city that he could call home since leaving New Orleans. However, to say he hasn't found success outside of New Orleans, that would be a foolish choice of words. Since leaving the Saints, Cooks has had 2 more 1,100-yard seasons. Well, 1,100-plus yard seasons, exceeding 1,200 yards in 2018. He's also made 2 Super Bowl appearances. He made his first appearance with the Patriots in 2017 in a losing effort to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, after being traded, the following year, he made a second Super Bowl appearance with the Los Angeles Rams. And there he was a part of a very young and good wide receiving corps. Still, he lost to the New England Patriots in that Super Bowl. However, 2 trips to the promised land in 3 years after being traded from New Orleans, that's pretty successful to me. With that being said, regardless of the amount of success Cooks has experienced, he simply can't find a place in the NFL to call a permanent home. Now going into his 7th NFL season, he is one of the most talented and productive NFL players to have played on 3 different teams. Most NFL teams like to hold on to that type of talent. That hasn't been the case with Brandin Cooks. And now he looks to be on the move again. In his latest tweet, he said, "Free me." Now look, that could simply mean let me out of the house. I'm exhausted from this social distancing. And this quarantine time is just too much for me. Please free me. That could be it. But based on the trade rumors and the moves that the Rams have made recently, one would not be wrong in saying that the 7th-year veteran receiver wants to be a free agent for the first time in his career. And he wants to be allowed to choose his next location. The Rams have been rumored in trade talks with a few teams, one being the New Orleans Saints. But that talk has kind of died down with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints roster. So, where will Cooks go if the Rams decided to release him? That's an interesting question. I have a few options. One, he could go to the Raiders. Man, they are in desperate need of some speed in their wide receiving corps. And, look, that's not too far away from L.A. So, Las Vegas to the L.A., not a bad trip. The Seahawks, man, you pair Cooks with Lockett and DK Metcalf, and that could be a scary offensive unit. Man, think about this. When Cooks first came into the league, he spent a lot of time training with Antonio Brown. At the time, Antonio Brown training with Brandin Cooks seemed to be a good influence on Brandin Cooks. At the time, at least, it was a good thing. But look, if Tom Brady loves Brown's work ethic, man, he may feel the same way about Cooks. And Cooks and Brady could have a reunion in Tampa Bay. The Eagles fan base is another fan base clamoring for a wide receiver, and a healthy, speedy Cooks paired with a healthy, strong-arm Wentz could be an intriguing pairing. Lastly, what about the Cowboys? That could be an exciting option depending on the price that he comes in at. They were looking for a wide receiver. They were in that Emmanuel Sanders sweepstakes, and depending on that number, he could be a good replacement for Randall Cobb. There are a few options, man. There are a few options for Brandin Cooks, but there are also a few things complicating the matter with Cooks. 3 concussions in the last few seasons for him has him kind of on the concussion watch list. Last season, I remember him being warned that another hit could really damage the possibility of him playing again. Cooks did, however, come back and return and finish with just under 600 yards receiving, but only 2 touchdowns. Cooks is a very talented receiver, and this offseason with some time away, a little bit of time away, a little bit of quarantine, all that kind of stuff, it should make him a less concerning option at the wide receiver position. Cooks is not scheduled to be a free agent until 2024, and his 2020 salary became guaranteed on March 20th. He does come along also for the Rams with the $16 million cap hit, so releasing him may not be the move the Rams make this offseason. However, they may have shown too much of their hand, too many rumors, and maybe he's overheard them. Cooks may pull a similar move to the one he pulled in New Orleans and force his way out. If free me means what we think it means, the wheels may already be in motion for that type of move. All right, hey, we'll see what happens with Brandin Cooks and the Los Angeles Rams. With your report today, this has been Rick Sincere, MTMV Sports.
Yeah, jump in this water. I'm Charles. Cool Joe. Better known be